Some days the world feels heavy, yet nothing outside has changed. It's as if a quiet shift inside the mind reshapes everything. The colors, the mood, even the way we breathe. A single thought rises, a belief reappears, an old voice whispers, and suddenly, reality bends to match it. Not because life has transformed, but because our inner lens has. The mind is a living garden. Every belief plants a seed. Every repeated thought grows roots. And whatever we water, fear or clarity, impatience or compassion becomes the landscape we walk through every day. Buddhist wisdom captures this with one simple reflection. What you think, you become. It's not meant to inspire or motivate us. It's meant to remind us that the world we experience is shaped from within. A mind filled with tension makes everything feel urgent and unsafe. A mind touched by kindness softens even difficult days. And a mind that awakens sees life as it truly is, like sunlight moving gently across a still lake. But there is something deeply comforting tucked inside this truth. We are not bound to the thoughts we've carried for years. We can learn to tend the inner garden differently. We can choose what grows. Pause for a moment and imagine this. What if the voice inside you became calmer, steadier? What if your inner dialogue slowly shifted from criticism to understanding? What if thoughts came and went like drifting clouds visible, but no longer controlling you? That simple shift could open an entirely new way of living. This journey we're walking into together is built on that possibility, nurturing a mind that is both stable and full of life. Across 9 lessons, we'll explore a path that blends Zen clarity with the insights of modern psychology. Ways to witness thoughts without being carried away, ways to transform harsh self-talk into compassion, ways to return to presence again and again, like stepping back into your true home. Nothing needs to be forced. You don't need to become someone else. You only learn to see more clearly. And as clarity grows, the world around you naturally shifts. Colors lighten, fear loosens, possibilities widen. When the inner garden is cultivated with mindfulness, kindness, and awareness, the life you've been seeking slowly begins to reveal itself one quiet breath at a time. Today we will enter the first part of our journey. The seeds you plant shape the life you live. The mind is not just a function of the body, it is a living landscape, a field of rich and fertile soil that never stops receiving impressions, thoughts, and beliefs. Every idea that crosses our awareness drops into this inner earth like a tiny seed. Some grow into clarity and calm, some grow into fear and heaviness, and many grow quietly in the background, shaping the way we see life without our permission. This is the essence of our first lesson. The thoughts we nurture become the reality we live in. In the teachings of the Buddha, this truth is summarized with profound simplicity. With our thoughts, we make the world. It doesn't mean our thoughts magically change the outside world. It means they determine the inner lens through which we interpret everything. A mind filled with worry can turn even gentle moments into tension. A mind that carries kindness can soften even the hardest days. Imagine your mind as a field at sunrise. Some seeds are gentle patience, gratitude, stability. Some seeds are sharp comparison, fear, self-judgment. Whichever seeds receive your attention will determine the landscape you walk through each day. We often underestimate how powerful small thoughts can be. A moment of self-doubt, repeated quietly over weeks and months, becomes a core belief. Maybe I'm not enough. A small irritation, replayed again and again, becomes a habit of anger. A single worry, fed daily, grows into an anxiety that colors everything. But the opposite holds true as well. A tiny moment of self-kindness, practiced consistently, becomes inner strength. A brief spark of clarity, remembered often, becomes wisdom. A breath of mindfulness becomes a doorway out of old emotional storms. Zen asks us not to force the mind, but to observe it. Not to fight thoughts, but to notice them. Not to judge them, but simply to see clearly the seeds we are planting. Clarity begins with one simple transformative question. Is this the seed I want to plant? This question is a turning point. Because once we recognize a thought for what it truly is, a seed, we gain the freedom to choose. We can water it with attention, or let it dry. We can allow it to grow, or gently stop feeding it. Let's make this real for a moment. You wake up, and the first thought that arises is, today is going to be stressful. That seed falls instantly into the soil of your mind. Your breath tightens, your shoulders rise, and the world begins to feel sharp. Throughout the day, your mind searches for evidence to support the seed you planted. But imagine the first seed is different. I will meet this day with openness. Instantly, something softens. Your breath expands. The world feels less threatening. Nothing changed outside, only the seed. Some days the world feels heavy, yet nothing outside has changed. It's as if a quiet shift inside the mind reshapes everything. The colors, the mood, even the way we breathe. A single thought rises, a belief reappears, an old voice whispers, and suddenly, reality bends to match it. Not because life has transformed, but because our inner lens has. The mind is a living garden. Every belief plants a seed. Every repeated thought grows roots. And whatever we water, fear or clarity, impatience or compassion becomes the landscape we walk through every day. Buddhist wisdom captures this with one simple reflection. What you think, you become. It's not meant to inspire or motivate us. It's meant to remind us that the world we experience is shaped from within. A mind filled with tension makes everything feel urgent and unsafe. A mind touched by kindness softens even difficult days. And a mind that awakens sees life as it truly is, like sunlight moving gently across a still lake. But there is something deeply comforting tucked inside this truth. We are not bound to the thoughts we've carried for years. We can learn to tend the inner garden differently. We can choose what grows. Pause for a moment and imagine this. What if the voice inside you became calmer, steadier? What if your inner dialogue slowly shifted from criticism to understanding? What if thoughts came and went like drifting clouds, visible, but no longer controlling you? That simple shift could open an entirely new way of living. This journey we're walking into together is built on that possibility, nurturing a mind that is both stable and full of life. Across 9 lessons, we'll explore a path that blends Zen clarity with the insights of modern psychology. Ways to witness thoughts without being carried away, ways to transform harsh self-talk into compassion, ways to return to presence again and again, like stepping back into your true home. Nothing needs to be forced. You don't need to become someone else. You only learn to see more clearly. And as clarity grows, the world around you naturally shifts. Colors lighten, fear loosens, possibilities widen. When the inner garden is cultivated with mindfulness, kindness, and awareness, the life you've been seeking slowly begins to reveal itself one quiet breath at a time. Today we will enter the first part of our journey. The seeds you plant shape the life you live. The mind is not just a function of the body, it is a living landscape, a field of rich and fertile soil that never stops receiving impressions, thoughts, and beliefs. Every idea that crosses our awareness drops into this inner earth like a tiny seed. Some grow into clarity and calm, some grow into fear and heaviness, and many grow quietly in the background, shaping the way we see life without our permission. This is the essence of our first lesson. The thoughts we nurture become the reality we live in. In the teachings of the Buddha, this truth is summarized with profound simplicity. With our thoughts, we make the world. It doesn't mean our thoughts magically change the outside world. It means they determine the inner lens through which we interpret everything. A mind filled with worry can turn even gentle moments into tension. A mind that carries kindness can soften even the hardest days. Imagine your mind as a field at sunrise. Some seeds are gentle patience, gratitude, stability. Some seeds are sharp comparison, fear, self-judgment. Whichever seeds receive your attention will determine the landscape you walk through each day. We often underestimate how powerful small thoughts can be. A moment of self-doubt, repeated quietly over weeks and months, becomes a core belief. Maybe I'm not enough. A small irritation, replayed again and again, becomes a habit of anger. A single worry, fed daily, grows into an anxiety that colors everything. But the opposite holds true as well. A tiny moment of self-kindness, practiced consistently, becomes inner strength. A brief spark of clarity, remembered often, becomes wisdom. A breath of mindfulness becomes a doorway out of old emotional storms. Zen asks us not to force the mind, but to observe it. Not to fight thoughts, but to notice them. Not to judge them, but simply to see clearly the seeds we are planting. Clarity begins with one simple transformative question. Is this the seed I want to plant? This question is a turning point. Because once we recognize a thought for what it truly is, a seed, we gain the freedom to choose. We can water it with attention or let it dry. We can allow it to grow or gently stop feeding it. Let's make this real for a moment. You wake up, and the first thought that arises is, today is going to be stressful. That seed falls instantly into the soil of your mind. Your breath tightens, your shoulders rise, and the world begins to feel sharp. Throughout the day, your mind searches for evidence to support the seed you planted. But imagine the first seed is different. I will meet this day with openness. Instantly, something softens. Your breath expands. The world feels less threatening. Nothing changed outside, only the seed. Your mind is a sanctuary. Treat it like something sacred. After learning how to guard the sanctuary of your inner world, something subtle begins to happen. When the mind becomes clearer, we start noticing patterns that were once hidden in the noise. Old habits, old wounds, automatic reactions that rise before we even realize it. And from this quiet awareness, we naturally step into the next part of today's journey. And now, we will move to the next part of the video, escaping the mind's automatic mode. The mind is a remarkable instrument, but it also carries a tendency. It repeats what is familiar. Most of our reactions are not conscious choices. They are echoes from our past, shaped by old memories, past hurt, childhood conditioning, moments when we felt unsafe, unseen, or overwhelmed. Without realizing it, these echoes become the autopilot of our daily life. Think about how often you react before you think. A sharp tone from someone makes your chest tighten. A stressful message triggers irritation. A familiar criticism brings back an old pain. You respond not to the present moment, but to the unhealed memory behind it. Buddhist wisdom has always pointed to this. Pause, observe, do not react immediately. This moment of stopping is not weakness, it is mastery. Because the instant you pause, you step out of the old pattern. You interrupt the chain that has dictated your emotions for years. And in that small space of stillness, something extraordinary appears. Clarity. The pause is the doorway to wisdom. It's like being in a dark room where someone keeps turning on bright lights without warning. If you cover your eyes and react instantly, you're acting out of shock. But if you breathe, let your eyes adjust, and look calmly, you start to see the room as it truly is. The same is true with the mind. When you pause, you see the situation, not just your emotional memory of it. This is the shift from instinct to awareness. When you respond from automatic mode, life feels like it's happening to you. When you respond from awareness, life begins to happen with you. The difference is freedom. Here's the truth. Human beings are not trapped by their emotions. They are trapped by their unexamined reactions. And each conscious pause is like placing a small stone on the path of liberation. One moment of awareness may seem small, but over time, it builds a new way of being. Imagine this. Someone speaks harshly to you. Autopilot would snap back, or shut down, or take their words personally. But awareness pauses. It breathes. It asks quietly, is this about me, or is this their pain speaking? Suddenly, the storm inside softens. You choose a calmer response, not because you're suppressing emotion, but because you are no longer controlled by it. Every mindful response rewires the mind. Every moment you choose presence over habit, the old patterns lose power. Every gentle pause reshapes the way your heart meets the world. Modern psychology and ancient Dharma meet beautifully here. Both say the same thing. Awareness interrupts conditioning. The brain literally changes when you repeatedly choose mindful reaction over impulsive reaction. You're not faking calmness. You're growing inner strength. This is how freedom is built, one small pause at a time. So the next time frustration rises, or fear tightens the body, or anger pushes you to speak too quickly, try something simple. Breathe. Feel the moment. Notice the sensation, and ask yourself, do I want to react from my wound or respond from my clarity? This is the heart of escaping automatic mode. Not perfection, not suppression, just presence. Every time you step out of autopilot, even for a single breath, you walk closer to inner liberation, the kind that no one can give you and no one can take away. After discovering how stepping out of the mind's autopilot creates freedom, a new awareness often emerges. When we can pause before reacting, we begin to see life with greater clarity. But life doesn't stop presenting challenges. In fact, the very moments that unsettle us, the heartbreak, the loss, the unexpected failure, are often the moments that carry the deepest lessons. And now, we will move to the next part of the video. Transforming life's challenges into wisdom. Pain is universal. The Buddha called it the first noble truth, yet it is not a sentence of suffering, it is a teacher. Every difficulty carries a message. If only we are willing to listen, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can gently ask, "What is this moment trying to teach me?" This subtle shift transforms despair into insight and hardship into fertile soil for growth. Consider the times in your life when something felt unbearable. A relationship ended. A career opportunity slipped away. A dream fell apart. At first, it may have felt like life had betrayed you. Yet, with reflection, we often discover that those very experiences strengthened resilience, deepened compassion, or revealed aspects of ourselves that were hidden until tested. Buddhist practice invites us to embrace discomfort with curiosity. Monks wake before dawn to sit in stillness, walk barefoot in the cold, or face hunger with awareness, not for punishment, but to train the mind. They understand that true strength is born in the fire of challenge. It is through these trials that patience, humility, and inner dignity flourish. The hardship is the soil, the wisdom is the seed. Think about your own challenges as teachers. Perhaps rejection teaches self-worth, not by making you feel small, but by showing you what you truly value. Maybe failure cultivates humility, reminding you that life unfolds in its own rhythm, not in your timetable. And sometimes, loss is a gentle teacher of letting go, guiding you to release attachments that weigh the spirit down. This perspective doesn't make pain disappear. It doesn't trivialize suffering. Rather, it gives us agency over our inner life. By framing adversity as a doorway rather than a wall, we shift from victimhood to participation in our own growth. The same circumstances, experienced with different intention, can either break us or illuminate our hearts. Visualization can help here too. Imagine yourself standing in the center of a storm. Rain lashes down, winds push against you, yet inside there is a calm center. Every gust is an opportunity to anchor in patience. Every flash of lightning illuminates clarity. You are not controlling the storm, but you are learning to navigate it with awareness. Over time, storms no longer terrify. They educate, guide, and strengthen you. Modern psychology echoes this wisdom. Reframing adversity enhances resilience. The brain physically adapts when we perceive challenges as growth opportunities. By noticing our reactions, breathing into discomfort, and asking what it teaches, we build neural pathways for strength, calm, and perspective. In short, suffering becomes a classroom, and you, the student, the teacher, and the gardener of your own inner landscape. So the next time life feels heavy, pause, breathe. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is this showing me?" Each challenge is a hidden seed, waiting for attention, care, and insight. Tend it with patience, water it with presence, and watch as the wisdom it carries blossoms into clarity, resilience, and inner freedom. This is the transformative power of seeing suffering not as a curse, but as a profound teacher of life. After learning to see hardship as a teacher and transforming challenges into wisdom, our hearts naturally begin to notice the small blessings that often go unseen. When the storms of life calm, the quiet moments invite reflection, and we start to realize the subtle power of gratitude. Now we will move to the next part of the video, turning gratitude into a daily practice. Our minds have a habit of scanning for what is missing. We wake up, immediately thinking of what we lack: more success, more recognition, more love, and this restless gaze breeds dissatisfaction. But what if the key to peace lies not in acquiring more, but in noticing what is already here? Gratitude is that lens. It shifts our attention from lack to abundance, from craving to presence. Imagine starting your morning with a simple ritual, taking a few deep breaths and reflecting on 3 things you are thankful for. Perhaps it is the warmth of the sunlight spilling through your window, the gentle silence of a house that has rested through the night, or the comforting embrace of a loved one. These are not grand milestones or achievements. They are ordinary fragments of life. Yet when held in awareness, they reveal extraordinary beauty. Buddhism teaches that gratitude is a form of mindfulness. It anchors us in the present moment, slowing the habitual chase for what is next. The human mind tends to overlook these small moments, always projecting into the future or dwelling on the past. But gratitude gently pulls us back, reminding us that fulfillment is not somewhere ahead, it is here, in the ordinary, waiting to be recognized. Practicing gratitude consistently rewires the mind. Neuroscience shows that acknowledging the positive aspects of life, even in small doses, strengthens neural pathways associated with contentment and well-being. Spiritually, it is a cultivation of the heart, an opening of the inner eye to the richness that is often invisible. When we focus on what we already have, cravings begin to soften, anxiety diminishes, and a quiet joy emerges from simply being alive. Think of gratitude as a garden practice. Every morning, you water the seeds of appreciation. Over time, a lush inner landscape grows a mind fertile with contentment, patience, and love. When challenges arise, this cultivated soil supports resilience, reminding us that even in hardship, there is something to value, something to learn, something to appreciate. Gratitude does not erase pain. It transforms it, like sunlight filtering through storm clouds. There is also a subtle yet profound social ripple. When we practice gratitude toward ourselves, we naturally extend it to others. Our words soften, our patience increases, and our relationships deepen. We begin to notice the kindness around us, the barista who greets us warmly, the colleague who listens without judgment, the stranger who smiles in passing. Each observation strengthens the habit of seeing life not as a series of lacking moments, but as a field rich with gifts. In practical terms, you don't need a grand ceremony to cultivate gratitude. Begin small. Each morning, name 3 things you are thankful for. Each evening, reflect on a moment that brought you warmth, no matter how subtle. Over weeks, this practice shapes perception. Life doesn't need to be extraordinary. It is the ordinary, fully lived, that carries profound joy. The simple act of noticing becomes a ritual, and this ritual nurtures the mind, heart, and spirit. Ultimately, gratitude becomes not just a thought, but a state of being. It reminds us that we already have enough, that peace is not something to chase, but something to inhabit. By turning gratitude into a daily practice, we plant seeds that grow into a calm mind, a fulfilled heart, and a life that feels deeply anchored in the present. After practicing gratitude and noticing the richness in ordinary moments, we may start to sense the possibility of shaping who we are, not through external achievements, but from within. The mind, like a fertile garden, responds to the images and intentions we nurture. Now, we will move to the next part of the video, envisioning the best version of yourself. Visualization, or bhavana in Buddhist practice, is not mere daydreaming. It is a sacred exercise of the mind, a deliberate cultivation of qualities we wish to embody. Think of it as mental gardening. Each image we hold is a seed planted in the soil of consciousness, gradually taking root and influencing our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Imagine a moment of tension at work or in a relationship. Instead of reacting impulsively, you see yourself responding with calm, with steady breath, with compassionate speech. You visualize patience in motion, clarity in decision-making, kindness in your gestures. Over time, these mental rehearsals do more than inspire, they subtly rewire your brain, reinforcing new pathways that align your outer behavior with your inner aspirations. Visualization works best when rich in detail. Picture not only your actions, but the surrounding environment, the sounds, the sensations, even the temperature in the air. Make it vivid. See the light, feel the weight of your body grounded, hear the quiet rhythm of your breath. This immersive attention tells the mind that these qualities are not abstract ideals, they are real, attainable states of being. With each session, you train yourself to inhabit these qualities naturally, so that when challenges arise, your response emerges from the essence of calm and compassion, not habit or fear. It is crucial to remember that visualization is not about becoming someone else. Buddhist teaching reminds us that we are not seeking a fabricated identity or chasing perfection. The purpose is to reconnect with our inherent clarity, wisdom, and compassion that have always been present beneath layers of doubt, fear, and distraction. In essence, it is a return to our true nature, uncovering what was already within us. Think of this practice like sculpting a block of clay. The raw material, the mind and heart, is already there. Visualization acts as the gentle shaping hand, smoothing rough edges, emphasizing strengths, revealing contours hidden beneath neglect or uncertainty. Each mental image is a brushstroke on the canvas of your inner life, painting a version of yourself that is not imagined but awakened. The benefits extend beyond personal transformation. As we become more aligned with our inner qualities, our interactions deepen. Calmness inspires calmness in others. Compassion invites compassion. Clarity creates space for understanding. Visualization bridges the inner and outer worlds. What you cultivate in your mind gradually manifests in your relationships, your work, and the way you navigate life's uncertainties. To begin, set aside a few minutes daily. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and allow yourself to see a version of yourself embodying the virtues you wish to strengthen. Perhaps it is courage in difficult conversations, patience in daily routines, or a quiet stability when life feels chaotic. Let the image feel real, grounded in the sensations of your body, the rhythm of your breath, and the clarity of your mind. Over time, the line between visualization and lived experience blurs. You start responding naturally from that imagined calmness, that envisioned compassion. You are no longer practicing in isolation. The qualities you envision become integrated into the very way you exist in the world. And in this gentle, intentional shaping, the mind's garden flourishes, producing fruits of wisdom, serenity, and kindness. Visualization is not a shortcut nor a superficial trick. It is a conscious, mindful act of returning to yourself, a modern expression of ancient Buddhist insight. By regularly envisioning your best self, you nurture the seeds of inner peace and wisdom, gradually realizing that the person you aspire to be has always been within you, waiting to awaken. After envisioning the best version of yourself and seeing how these inner qualities can shape your external life, it's time to turn inward with gentleness. Now, we will move to the next part of the video, cultivating self-compassion. Self-compassion is one of the most radical and transformative practices we can offer ourselves. Unlike self-criticism, which punishes and diminishes, self-compassion nurtures, heals, and frees the heart. Imagine carrying a wound. Self-criticism is like adding a second arrow, piercing the same place repeatedly. Self-compassion is setting that arrow down, resting, and offering care to yourself in the moment. Buddhist practice often calls this metta-meditation, a cultivation of loving kindness starting from within. You can begin simply, sitting quietly, gently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be at peace." At first, these words may feel foreign, even awkward. Perhaps your inner critic scoffs, saying, "You don't deserve this." But with patience and persistence, these phrases become a soft balm, replacing judgment with acceptance, harshness with warmth. Think of self-compassion as planting a safe, fertile garden within your heart. The soil has been hardened by past failures, regrets, and self-blame. Each act of gentle acknowledgement, each moment of kindness toward yourself, loosens that soil, allowing seeds of resilience, courage, and inner freedom to take root. You begin to realize that being kind to yourself is not indulgence, it is essential for growth and well-being. Understanding the Buddhist principle of anatta, or non-self, deepens this practice. You are not a fixed identity. You are not defined by mistakes you made yesterday, nor by the harshest words you have ever spoken to yourself. Life is constant change, and so are you. This insight gives you the permission to start over, to release old versions of yourself, and to meet each moment with fresh awareness and care. As you cultivate self-compassion, something remarkable happens. It naturally extends outward. When your own heart is soft and patient, your relationships deepen. You become more understanding, less reactive, more willing to meet others where they are. Self-compassion transforms not only your inner life, but also the way you engage with the world. The practice also teaches profound courage. It is not weakness to meet yourself with gentleness. On the contrary, it takes strength to face your own imperfections without fleeing, to sit with your discomfort without numbing it, and to extend patience when the world seems harsh. In this courage lies freedom. Freedom from the endless cycle of self-blame, from the harsh judgment that limits your spirit, and from the fear of being not enough. Daily moments of self-compassion can be small yet transformative. Pause during a stressful day, place a hand over your heart, and say softly, "May I be at peace." When you notice self-critical thoughts arising, acknowledge them as clouds passing across the sky, then return to a gentle affirmation. Over time, these moments weave into the fabric of your inner life, creating a steady undercurrent of calm and acceptance. Self-compassion is also intimately tied to forgiveness, not only forgiving others, but forgiving ourselves. Every human carries the weight of past mistakes, regrets, and choices they wish had been different. Holding on to these weights stiffens the heart and dims our inner light. Forgiveness is setting down the burden, seeing clearly, learning, and then choosing to move forward lighter and freer. Ultimately, cultivating self-compassion allows us to live with an open heart. It reminds us that imperfection is part of existence and that our worth is not contingent on achievement, approval, or perfection. In nurturing ourselves with care, patience, and understanding, we build a resilient foundation that supports all other inner practices: mindfulness, gratitude, and visualization. The seeds planted here flourish not only as inner peace, but as a gentle strength that can weather life's storms. After nurturing self-compassion and seeing how it softens the heart while strengthening our inner resilience, we are ready to explore a profound truth that is often misunderstood. Now, we will move to the next part of the video: happiness as a skill, not a coincidence. Many people believe that happiness arrives when life aligns perfectly, when circumstances are ideal, when achievements accumulate, or when the world treats us kindly. But Buddhist insight reminds us that true happiness is not a gift of chance, it is a skill cultivated with intention. The mind is naturally drawn to notice suffering and negativity more than joy or calm. This is why we often feel life is unfair, or that happiness is fleeting, even when small blessings surround us daily. Happiness is trained in the same way a musician trains an instrument or a gardener tends the soil. It is through deliberate attention, consistent practice, and conscious awareness that the mind begins to favor calm, joy, and contentment. Practices such as mindfulness, gratitude, and reflection are the gentle tools that allow happiness to become a natural part of who we are, rather than something we chase after externally. Consider the simple act of observing your breath. Just 1 minute of mindful breathing in the morning, noticing the inhale and exhale without judgment, is a tiny training session for happiness. It teaches the mind to return to the present, to let go of restless craving, and to soften the grip of worry. Pair this with a moment of gratitude, perhaps noting 3 ordinary things you appreciate, and you begin to see that contentment is not dependent on grand events. It grows quietly, like moss spreading on a stone, unnoticed at first but persistent, steady, and strong. The most serene people you meet are rarely those whose lives are free of difficulty. Rather, they have mastered the subtle art of keeping the mind balanced amid life's storms. They can face disappointment, delay, or loss without letting it destabilize their inner calm. This is because happiness is a practice of alignment, not luck. It is the cultivation of inner equilibrium that becomes resilient to external change. Training happiness is incremental. Just 1% a day, a gentle observation of your thoughts, a small smile at life, a conscious pause to notice reality creates a profound cumulative effect. Over weeks and months, the mind becomes softer, more flexible, and naturally inclined to notice joy, even in the mundane. In this way, happiness transforms from an elusive goal into an embodied habit. Remember, happiness is not about denying the presence of pain, frustration, or challenge. Rather, it is about training the mind to hold these experiences with clarity and balance, letting suffering teach rather than dominate. Like a tree growing through rocky soil, we may face hardship, but we are strengthened, our roots deepened, and our capacity for serenity expanded. So, as we practice mindfulness, gratitude, and self-awareness daily, happiness is no longer a distant prize, it becomes a skill etched into our being. It is the quiet confidence that, no matter what arises, we have the tools to remain grounded, the capacity to notice beauty, and the freedom to return to peace. In this sense, happiness is the art of being fully present, attentive to life as it is, and skillfully responding rather than being swept away. By recognizing that happiness is cultivated, we shift from a reactive mindset to an empowered one. Instead of waiting for life to be perfect, we begin to create moments of joy, stability, and ease within ourselves. Every mindful breath, every act of gratitude, every gentle pause strengthens this skill. Over time, the practice transforms not only our inner landscape, but also how we engage with the world, with clarity, warmth, and a quiet joy that others can feel. Having trained happiness as a skill, noticing that even amidst challenges we can remain anchored in calm, we now turn our attention to the subtle choices that determine the path of our minds. We will move to the next part of the video. Every thought is a fork in the road, choosing peace over anxiety. Every thought that arises is like a fork in the road. In a single moment, the mind presents us with a choice: to feed it, to follow it, or to let it go and return to the present. This may seem simple, yet it is the very mechanism through which inner peace or anxiety grows. When we repeatedly follow thoughts rooted in fear, judgment, or comparison, we inadvertently water the seeds of stress and worry, allowing them to expand and dominate our mental landscape. Conversely, when we pause, observe, and choose awareness over automatic reaction, we set a foundation for clarity and serenity. Anxiety is not born from external events. It is cultivated internally through the repeated selection of wrong paths. Assuming the worst-case scenario, imagining stories that have not yet occurred, or clinging to regrets. Each time we buy into these narratives, we reinforce patterns that disconnect us from the present moment. But mindfulness offers a way to notice the fork in the road before we blindly follow it. By asking, "Where is this thought leading me?" we begin to reclaim authority over the mind. Imagine standing at a literal crossroad. One path is overgrown with thorns, shadowed by fear and uncertainty. The other path is bathed in sunlight, open, inviting awareness and calm. Your thoughts function in the same way. A judging, fearful, or comparative thought is like stepping onto the thorny path. It will prick, scratch, and slow your journey. A thought rooted in observation, understanding, and acceptance is like walking into sunlight. It nourishes and opens the mind. Just noticing this fork, taking a breath, and choosing consciously shifts the course of the entire mental journey. Even pausing for a single heartbeat can be transformative. It is in that tiny moment of awareness that the mind steps out of autopilot, allowing insight to emerge. We realize that thoughts are not commands. They are invitations to explore, to witness, and to respond with intention. This is the essence of Buddhist mindfulness practice. Not to suppress thoughts, but to meet them with curiosity and choice. You may notice that some thoughts are persistent, returning again and again. This is natural. The mind is like a restless river. Yet with practice, we can learn to observe the flow without being swept away. We acknowledge the presence of a stressful thought, name it perhaps as fear, doubt, or impatience, and then gently return attention to the present. Each time we do this, the mind's trajectory subtly changes, creating a ripple that expands outward into words, actions, and emotions. Consider a moment when worry arises about a future event. The immediate choice is: follow the anxious narrative, imagining all possible problems, or pause and observe, is this thought a true reflection of reality or just a projection of fear? By consistently choosing the latter, we train the mind to favor presence and wisdom over reactivity. This repeated exercise gradually rewires mental habits, reinforcing peace as the default path. Ultimately, this practice reminds us that inner peace is not the absence of thought, but the presence of awareness in choosing which thoughts to nourish. Each thought becomes a fork in the road, and each pause, a chance to steer toward freedom rather than suffering. By embracing this mindful engagement with our own minds, we transform anxiety from a controlling force into a teacher, showing us exactly where attention, discernment, and compassion are needed. So, as we navigate the landscape of our thoughts, let us remember, even a single conscious choice, pausing, observing, and responding with care, can redirect the course of the mind. Every thought offers a subtle invitation. One path leads to worry, the other to peace. By stepping consciously onto the path of awareness, we walk steadily toward inner calm, one thought at a time. Now, as we come to the close of this journey, pause for a moment and breathe. The present moment, the here and now, is the only place where life truly unfolds. All else, the past that lingers or the future we chase, exists only as stories in the mind, often breeding worry, regret, and distraction. But when you return your attention fully to this instant, you step into the field of awareness where peace, clarity, and true aliveness arise. Mindfulness is not a technique to escape life. It is the art of touching life fully. When you walk, just walk. When you sit, just sit. There is a profound freedom in allowing yourself to be exactly where you are, without judgment, without the constant pull of more or later. Every inhale, every exhale, every heartbeat becomes a reminder that the world is unfolding right here, right now, and so is your capacity to experience it fully. Happiness, it turns out, is not in seeking more, acquiring more, or changing circumstances. It is in noticing the richness of the present moment, the ordinary blessings that often pass unnoticed, the gentle warmth of sunlight on your skin, the quiet rhythm of your breath, and the soft awareness of your own thoughts. These are the treasures that have always been here. To awaken to them is to awaken to life itself. Here is your invitation. Choose one of the lessons we explored today, be it planting mindful seeds in your thoughts, cultivating gratitude, or pausing before reacting, and bring it into your life immediately. Take this lesson and let it become a small practice, a spark that lights the path of your inner journey. Even a single conscious act has the power to ripple outward, transforming not just your day, but the way you move through life. Remember, the journey inward is the most courageous one you can take. It does not require grand gestures or monumental change. It begins with simple, deliberate choices: to notice, to breathe, to allow, to return again and again to the present. With each choice, you strengthen your mind, nurture your heart, and open to the quiet, profound joy that has always been within you. And so, I leave you with this gentle challenge. In the next hour, the next moment, the next breath, be fully here. Notice one small thing, a thought, a sensation, a sound, and immerse yourself in it. Share in the comments below which lesson touched you most today, and let it inspire your practice this week. In the next video, we will continue to explore how these moments of awareness can transform our relationships, our choices, and ultimately, the way we live. Step into the present with courage. Let the mind rest. Let the heart open. Let the ordinary become extraordinary. This is your practice. This is your life.